Ling Shu hurriedly wiped her forehead. I'm not going. Take this stupid domain back. Leoli lifted her chin defiantly. You wouldn't dare. If you don't go, I'll head back to Spirit Snake Mountain alone. I'll tell my father you took my mother's relic, but broke your promise. I'll have him tear you and young Master Fang apart, so you never see each other again. Ling Shu panicked. Brother, do something about her. Fang Chen was speechless. Was she seriously resorting to blackmail? He tried to help Ling Shu extract the domain, but it had already fused with her body. No outside force could pull it out now. Leoli, don't make things difficult for Ling Shu. He didn't want Ling Shu to leave his side either. If tragedy struck again on the road and history repeated itself, he wasn't sure his heart could take losing her a second time. Leoli crossed her arms, thoroughly annoyed. The more Fang Chen shielded Ling Shu, the more determined she was to hold her ground. I want her to go. We leave together, and we come back together. Ling Shu stomped her foot in anger, losing her composure for the first time. You're so annoying. Fang Chen sighed in defeat. Ling Shu, just go with her this once. The Golden Snake Crest should carry a lot of weight in the Myriad Demon Grand Province. No one will dare mess with you, so the trip shouldn't be too dangerous. Tears welled up in Ling Shu's eyes. Are you trying to chase me away too, brother? She asked, her voice laced with hurt. Fang Chen hesitated for a moment, then leaned in and whispered something in her ear. At his words, a fierce blush rushed from Ling Shu's ears all the way to her cheeks. Her fair face burned as red as a boiled crab. She shyly ducked her head. You're not lying to me, are you, brother? Fang Chen gently pulled her into his arms, pressed a soft kiss to her forehead, and murmured, the day you return. Ling Shu's brain practically short-circuited. All her hesitation vanished instantly. I'll go right now. Suddenly, she was in more of a rush than Leoli, looking ready to drag the other girl all the way to Spirit Snake Mount in this exact second. Fang Chen couldn't help but laugh. What's the rush? Traveling across provinces isn't that simple. You'll need a state-level teleportation array and supreme grade crystals. Plus, you both need to break through to the Demon Emperor realm first. Give me a few days to get everything sorted before you set off. The two girls nodded. As soon as Fang Chen walked away, Leoli gave her a suspicious squint. Ling Shu, what exactly did young Master Fang promise you? Ling Shu buried her burning face in her hands. Stop asking, I'm not telling. With that, she bolted away in a flustered panic. Leoli stomped her foot in frustration. What's the big deal? Is he gonna finally make you his woman, or something? Looking down at the two remaining domains in the jade box, she frowned. She'd keep one for herself, but who should she give the spare one to? With Leoli's situation handled, a weight was lifted off Fang Chen's shoulders. He immediately summoned the mountains and river's cauldron, tossing the low-grade crystal ore inside to be condensed. Meanwhile, the West Sea Crown Prince strolled out of the Widow Octopus's Coral Immortal's abode, looking thoroughly refreshed and satisfied. Now that hits the spot. Rumble, suddenly, a violent tremor tore through the seabed. Caught off guard, the West Sea Crown Prince ate a mouthful of dirt. He spat out sand, staring in shock toward the epicenter of the quake. A colossal 100-meter-wide array illuminated the water ahead, firing a brilliant pillar of light toward the surface. A spatial teleportation array in the middle of nowhere, and it's enormous. What level of teleportation formation is this? Driven by curiosity, he darted toward the array, ducking behind a thick cluster of coral to peek at the commotion. Within the blinding pillar of spatial light, two silhouettes slowly materialized. It was a man and a woman. The man was built like a mountain, his body radiating billowing dark energy, his imperious gaze sweeping the area with utter contempt. The woman looked to be in her early 20s. She had flawless porcelain skin and a striking oval face. Her eyes danced with a teasing half-hidden smile, complementing her dangerously curved, alluring figure. The West Sea Crown Prince couldn't tear his eyes away. Senior brother, let's part ways here. You go track down the White Bone Alliance, and I'll hunt for the guy who took the replica Demon Eye. The burly man was none other than the true mastermind behind the White Bone Alliance, a formidable expert of the demonic path. Watch your back, the Taking Grand Province is crawling with hidden monsters. With that gruff warning, the hulking man tore through the water and vanished into the distance. The bewitching woman waited for the spatial ripples to fade before waving her hand, sweeping a blanket of sea sand over the state-level teleportation array to conceal it. Her work done, she turned to leave. A moment later, the West Sea Crown Prince crept out of hiding, clicking his tongue in pity. Tusk, tusk, tusk. Such a stunning beauty, missing out on a taste of her is a real tragedy. The words had barely left his mouth when a warm breath brushed against his ear. An intoxicatingly sultry voice purred. Then how about I help you cure that tragedy, little brother? The West Sea Crown Prince jumped out of his skin. He whipped his head around, only to come face to face with the woman in the black dress who was supposed to be gone. Her lips curled upward as she eyed him with that same dangerously teasing smile. Well, well, I'm the West Sea Crown Prince, gorgeous, and I know exactly how to treat a lady right. The West Sea Crown Prince was a seasoned playboy. He'd flirt with a female ghost if she had a pretty face, let alone a living, breathing knockout like her. The dark aura around the woman's head suddenly retracted, revealing a pitch-black divine halo hovering behind her. The West Sea Crown Prince instantly froze, his eyes bugging out of his skull as he stammered, "Vive Venerable Senior." He swallowed a mouthful of seawater in shock. He had actually dared to hit on a venerable. The woman in the black dress flashed a dangerous smile, raised her finger, and sliced it across the Crown Prince of the West Sea's crotch. Swoosh! The West Sea Crown Prince instantly clutched his crotch and collapsed to the ground, curling up like a shrimp. The painfully familiar sensation made the veins on his neck bulge. He sucked in seawater in gasps, completely speechless from the agony. Since Muzi, you had sliced it off the first time, his manhood had once again abandoned him. Smiling sweetly, the woman in the black dress crouched down beside him, a dangerous glint in her eyes. How rare. The men of the great wilderness call me a witch and run the other way. Yet a little cutie like you actually tried to hit on me. Too bad, you're not my type. Otherwise, I might have kept you for myself today. She poked the two small horns poking out of the West Sea Crown Prince's hair and said with a hint of disgust, "But since you saw our hidden teleportation formation, I can't let you live." Feeling the shadow of death loom over him, the West Sea Crown Prince begged desperately, "Mercy, I'll find you the most handsome men in the world." The witch's lips curled up. "Really, my standards are incredibly high. If you can't pique my interest, you'll die an even worse death." The West Sea Crown Prince wanted to curse her entire family. He really should have checked his horoscope today. How did he end up running into such a vicious witch? His mind raced as he went through his list of sketchy friends, but no matter how hard he thought, he couldn't find a single handsome guy worthy of a venerable. Then he remembered someone, his Rydord, brother and savior, Fang Chen. Out of all his friends, Fang Chen was doing the best. This witch was bad news. Throwing him to her would be throwing Fang Chen under the bus, wouldn't it? But with his life on the line, he blurted out, I have a brother. His name is Fang Chen. He's way better with women than I am, and he only plays in the big leagues. The peerless consort of a demon emperor, a chaste widow demon emperor, none of them can escape his charm. Rumor has it that even Venerable Mantra couldn't resist him and ended up as his wife. The witch let out a soft laugh. He does sound intriguing, but that's not enough. I need to see what he's actually capable of. The West Sea Crown Prince spared no effort to hype him up. You have no idea, my brother is insane. He killed a demon emperor during core formation, fought a bodhisattva at nascent soul, and I heard he recently went on a rampage in the heaven realm. He absolutely annihilated the ancient giants and the giant king. Most importantly, he is unbelievably handsome, a total lady killer and every man's worst enemy. The witch giggled, her ample chest shaking with laughter. Your story is probably half lies, but you've successfully caught my interest. Fine, I'm claiming him as my boy toy. Convince him to be my boy toy, and I'll spare your life. She patted the West Sea Crown Prince's cheek, sending a wisp of demonic energy into his body. This energy will guide you to me, but you'd better be quick. In 10 days, it will eat through your organs from the inside out. Ha ha ha. As her laughter faded, the witch vanished into thin air. The West Sea Crown Prince felt like he had just escaped death. Remembering Fang Chen, he pressed his hands together in a silent apology. My good brother, just do me a solid and be her boy toy this once. Achoo. Inside the secret chamber, Fang Chen, who had just successfully refined a low-grade crystal vein, sneezed out of nowhere. He looked around guiltily. Is this a warning from the heavens because I've done too many shady things? But I haven't done anything bad lately. The only person I've done wrong is my good brother, the West Sea Crown Prince. Thinking about the marriage alliance between the two realms, Fang Chen felt a bit guilty. How was he supposed to break the news to him? He shook his head and sighed. I'll try to appeal to his emotions and reason with him first. If that doesn't work, I'll just tie him up and drag him there. Putting the matter aside for now, Fang Chen looked into the mountains and rivers cauldron. A mountain-sized pile of crystal ore had now been condensed into just over a dozen crystal stones. 10 of them were high-grade spirit crystals, which were only enough to teleport between major sects. As for the supreme grade crystal, there was only one. Lialai and Ling Shu would have to use this crystal stone if they wanted to travel to the Myriad Demon continent. With the crystal stones ready, he settled down to focus on his cultivation. 5 days later, the sun shone brightly, and a gentle breeze drifted through the clear sky. On the steps of the Grand Hall, Little Killen, Little Rebel, and Little Tiger sat side by side. Impaled on each of Little Killen's 10 tiny claws was a small spirit fruit from the heaven realm. It wolfed them down in seconds, stuffing its little mouth to the brim. Little Rebel was also hugging a melon from the heaven realm that was bigger than itself, its head buried deep inside as it feasted happily. Nearby, Little Tiger was also clutching a few vegetables, gulping them down in huge bites. "Ta-da, I finished first," Little Rebel patted its belly, flashing a victorious grin. "I'm finished too," Little Tiger chimed in with a laugh. Only Little Killen was still chewing the fruit in its mouth. As it turned out, the 3 little guys had a rule for eating together. Whoever finished last had to tell the others a secret. "Come on, spit it out." Little Rebel rubbed its tiny paws together, buzzing with anticipation. Little Killen reluctantly leaned in close to Little Rebel's ear and whispered, "I'll tell you a huge secret, but you absolutely cannot tell anyone else. It's about my master." Little Rebel's eyes lit up instantly. He had never given up on his dream of escaping Fang Chen's clutches. If he could get his paws on a scandalous secret, couldn't he use it to blackmail him? "I swear I won't tell a soul." With its mouth still full of fruit, Little Killen mumbled, "My master wants to see the feathers on Bakesin's chest." Little Rebel scoffed, "What kind of secret is that?" Little Tiger peered over, burning with curiosity. "What secret? Tell me, tell me." Little Rebel leaned close to its ear and whispered, "It's a secret about my master, Fang Chen. You absolutely cannot tell anyone. My master wants to see the fluff on Bakesin's chest." Little Tiger blinked in confusion. What kind of secret is that? Just then, a young girl in white approached expressionlessly. She carried an ancient sword on her back, her hair swept up into a bun, with only 2 loose strands framing her neck. Seeing the 3 adorable little spirit beasts sitting in a row, she couldn't help but steal a few extra glances. She stepped forward and asked, "Is Fang Chen here?" Little Tiger nodded. "Yeah, he's here." Bakesin pulled out a spiritual fruit rich with demonic energy and said, "Take me to him." "This is for you." Little Tiger immediately leapt into Bakesin's arms. "Emamichamem, I'll take you there." Cradling Little Tiger in her arms, Bakesin followed its lead toward Fang Chen's secret chamber. "Pretty big sister, I'll tell you a secret, but you absolutely cannot tell anyone else." Little Tiger was thrilled that Bakesin had given it the fruit. Bakesin nodded. "Go ahead." Little Tiger leaned in and whispered, "It's about my boss," he said. "He wants to see Bakesin's chest." Bakesin froze, then blankly drew the ancient sword from her back. The icy blade gleamed with cold light. "Forget Fang Chen. Take me to your boss right now." Inside the secret chamber, after 5 days of hard cultivation, Fang Chen had finally pushed his foundation to its absolute limit. That wisp of the ice and fire domain condensed into a sharp drill, effortlessly unlocking the 5th aperture. He felt a surge of energy, a power of the nascent soul twice as potent as before, coursing through his body. How utterly hopeless Fang Chen had felt back when he faced Venerable Bayu and his 5 aperture nascent soul. Now he had reached that exact same level, becoming a powerhouse in his own right. A surge of pride welled up within him, and he let out a resounding shout. "I ride the wind, holding my head high once more, returning from 10,000 miles to command the tiger's door." Boom, just as he was reciting his poem, the stone door was blown wide open by a blast of terrifying sword kai. Bakesin stood there holding her 3-foot-cold blade, her face devoid of emotion. "You want to see my chest?" Cough, cough, cough. Fang Chen choked and coughed violently. He was in the middle of reciting poetry. Could she show a little respect? Worse, Bakesin's words left him completely bewildered. Where on earth is this coming from? Bakesin held Little Tiger up by the scruff of its neck. "Repeat what you just said." Little Tiger blinked its large eyes. "I'll tell you a secret, but you can't tell anyone else." Bakesin said, "The next part." Little Tiger thought for a moment, then said, "My grandma wants to see Bakesin's chest." Just how did this rumor get so out of hand? Bakesin glared at Fang Chen. Any last words? Fang Chen shook his head. "What does Little Tiger's grandmother have to do with me, Fang Chen?" "Silly tiger talk. Commander Bai, please don't take its words to heart. Why were you looking for me?" He quickly changed the subject, giving Bakes in no chance to pry further. Bakesin said, The Grand Libationer wants you to go to the Heaven Monitoring Guard. Fang Chen nodded slightly. This was within his expectations. It had been 5 days since he returned. It was about time the Grand Libationer handed over the rewards for the reconnaissance mission. What puzzled him was this: why did you come in person? Are you really that free right now? Bakeson sheathed her sword and said, I was searching for traces of the Reverend of 6 Daos nearby, so I stopped by to let you know. Still relentlessly hunting down the Reverend of 6 Daos. For all they knew, they might be father and daughter. A daughter hunting her own father sounded ridiculous. But knowing the Reverend of 6 Daos' past, Fang Chen only felt a deep sense of sorrow. Out of the corner of his eye, he glanced at Bakeson's chest, realizing he probably wouldn't get a chance to look for the true demon mark. There was another way to confirm if Bakeson was indeed the Reverend of 6 Daos' daughter, and that was for the two of them to meet. Since the Reverend of 6 Daos had resurrected using Reverend Green Crane's corpse, his appearance had completely changed, so Bakeson would definitely not recognize him. Yet Bakeson was still in the exact same state as she was in her youth, so there was no way the Reverend of 6 Daos wouldn't recognize his own daughter's face. Have you ever met the Reverend of 6 Daos face? Fang Chen asked. Bakeson replied, no, I've only seen his illusions. Before, he was a middle-aged scholar, but this time he is an old Taoist priest. Fang Chen pondered, had she forgotten what her father used to look like, or was she simply not the Reverend of 6 Daos' daughter at all? Where was his last known location? Fang Chen inquired. To get the answer, the Reverend of 6 Daos had to see Bakeson with his own eyes. Fang Chen had to find a way to contact the Reverend of 6 Daos. He went missing, Bakeson said. During our trip to the Southern Heaven Realm, he suddenly vanished, and there hasn't been a trace of him since. Missing? Fang Chen frowned in thought. That old fox was incredibly slippery. He'd slip away at the first sign of trouble. There were very few people in the Taking Grand Province who could actually harm him. Or was he just lying low? Bakeson said, let's go. Offering a cupped fist salute, Fang Chen asked, Commander Bai, if I want to travel to other Grand Provinces, how would I go about it? As an official, she would definitely know the best way. Bakeson explained there are 3 ways. First, use the Directorate of Astronomy's official state-level teleportation array. However, unless it's an exceptional period, the Taking Grand Province is closed to other provinces. Second, cross the Void Sea. A nascent soul cultivator would take anywhere from 6 months to a year to reach an adjacent province. Third, use a privately built state-level teleportation array. But those are highly secretive, rare, and highly unstable. The so-called Void Sea referred to the ocean waters beyond the 4 seas. Those waters had neither demonic energy nor spiritual energy, a dead zone where no living creature could survive. The different grand provinces were isolated from each other by this very Void Sea. Fang Chen pondered, could I use the merit from my reconnaissance mission to request an opportunity to use the official state-level teleportation array? Bakeson replied, you'll have to ask the Grand Libationer about that. Fang Chen nodded slightly. Commander Bai, please wait here. I'll be right back. With a sweep of his soul power, he located the 2 girls on a patch of barren land in the back mountains. The master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion and the other nascent soul realm experts were all gathered there. Fang Chen flickered over to them. He saw the 2 girls standing on separate mountain peaks, preparing for their crossing the Tribulation. Liu Qingxian and Xia Keoj had lent their own bright light brocade robes to the 2 girls. Yi Bangxia was even uncharacteristically generous, lending out her 2 jade, carved phoenix chairs. The master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion and Fairy Cloud, Raymond, were each guarding one of the girls. The treatment they received was far better than what others got during crossing the Tribulation. The reason was simple, they belonged to the Yao clan, so their Tribulation opportunity was far rarer than those of the human race. There were probably only these 2 heavenly demon molds left in the entire Taking Grand Province. If they failed, they would never get another chance, which was why everyone was taking this extremely seriously. Fang Chen took out 2 bod-high pills, preparing to deliver them. However, Yu Mingju stopped him, pouting slightly. Look at you worrying so much. Save those bod-high pills for someone else, don't waste them. I'll make sure these 2 girls make it through safely. Fang Chen was puzzled. You'll make sure. Come to think of it, Yu Mingju had also promised to ensure Liu Qingxian's success in crossing the Tribulation. And, in the end, although Liu Qingxian was supposed to fail, she somehow succeeded against all odds. Yu Mingju lifted her chin. But first, tell me, is there going to be a reward for me? Fang Chen chuckled. If you really have a way to make sure both of them succeed, I'll promise you one thing, as long as it's within my power. Yu Mingju's eyes lit up. Deal, no backing out. She rubbed her hands together, a sly, fox-like grin spreading across her face. According to the Imperial Kai observation technique, the more providence one manipulated, the easier it was to suffer a backlash upon reaching the deity transformation realm. Because of this, she usually just stood by and watched when others were crossing the tribulation. She had only ever intervened during Liu Qingxian's crossing the tribulation. Now, if she could trade a little future backlash for a promise from Fang Chen, it would be totally worth it. Before long, the two girls began crossing the tribulation. With Yu Mingju's assistance, although the girls' heavenly tribulation was fraught with danger, they always managed to pull through safely, leaving the onlookers in absolute awe. Even Fang Chen couldn't help but look at Yu Mingju in sheer disbelief. Was she actually able to control the heavenly tribulation, or was it something else? When the heavenly tribulation finally dispersed, the two little girls didn't look disheveled in the slightest, leaving the entire crowd utterly stunned. The two girls were absolutely ecstatic. However, their joy didn't last long, because their Taoist titles were finally revealed. Liulai's title was the Child, seeking Demon Emperor. The sheer embarrassment made Liulai curl her toes so hard she almost ripped through her shoes. This name was way too humiliating. It made it sound like she was ready to bear anyone's child. Ling Shu's title wasn't any better, Green Tea Demon Emperor. Ling Shu's face flushed bright red as she whimpered, "Since when do I have green tea manipulative skills? Is it a crime to look out for Big Brother?" Fang Chen's mouth twitched. That crazy woman, the ancient saint, was getting more and more ridiculous with these Taoist titles. He stepped forward to comfort the two girls. "Just ignore that old hag, she's always been like this." Boom, a bolt of lightning came crashing down. Having anticipated this, Fang Chen activated the heart of the heavenly abyss. The lightning that struck him immediately flowed into his body, channeling into a heart-shaped cluster of electrical energy in his chest. "You crazy hag, I saw that coming." But he shouldn't have opened his mouth. The moment he spoke, the dark clouds that had just dispersed gathered once more. Bolt after bolt of lightning poured down on Fang Chen like rain. The dense barrage was almost as intense as an Earl, a stage crossing the tribulation. Everyone was completely dumbfounded. Seriously, why is the ancient saint always picking on Fang Chen? Other people say way worse things about her, and she completely ignores them. While Fang Chen was muttering, the ancient saint's lightning kept blasting him relentlessly. Once the dark clouds finally cleared, Fang Chen was grinning from ear to ear. Although this wave of lightning hadn't completely filled the heart of the heavenly abyss, it was more than enough to sustain his lightning path divine ability for a good while. Moreover, this lightning could be extracted to use them for the cultivation of the Hell Lotus. "Thanks, you crazy hag." Fang Chen smirked and walked back to Yu Mingju, sizing her up with a look of surprise. "Since when did you become so impossible to read?" Yu Mingju replied smugly, "It's better that way. That's the only way you'll stay slightly interested in me." She made it sound like Fang Chen was some fickle guy who always grew tired of the old and chased after the new. He pinched Yu Mingju's cheek and said with a warm smile, "Thank you for helping the two girls. Now tell me, what would you like me to do for you?" To be honest, he was still a little intimidated by Yu Mingju. She had a mind of her own and didn't obey his every whim like other girls did. Her actions were always unpredictable and hard to read. Surely she wouldn't make some incredibly difficult demand right now, would she? Yu Mingju stared into Fang Chen's face and offered a gentle smile. "Just find some time to spend with me. The last time we spent quality time together was during the Tae-Hu mission in Sunset City, and that was a lifetime ago." Fang Chen froze. He hadn't expected Yu Mingju's request to be so simple. A pang of guilt washed over him. Just how much had he been neglecting her? He nodded, "All right." Only then did Yu Mingju look satisfied. She waved goodbye and departed. Fang Chen sighed. Once this busy stretch was over, he would definitely make sure to spend some quality time with everyone. Shaking himself out of his thoughts, he called Liulai and Ling Shu over. "I'm going to take you to see if we can use the official state-level teleportation array. If not, we'll have to mobilize the commercial alliance of the Supreme Rivers and Mountains Tower to put out a bounty for information on privately built state-level teleportation arrays." After meeting up with Bakeson, the group of four headed down to the underground palace. Following Yi Banxia's modifications, this array could now transport them to any location within the 3 deity sects or the 7 great cults. Traveling across the Taeking Grand Province would be infinitely easier from now on, as long as they had enough high-grade spirit crystals and maintained good terms with the 3 deity sects and the 7 great cults. Visiting all 10 sects within a single day would be a piece of cake. He placed a high-grade spirit crystal at the center of the array. It instantly flared to life, erupting with a surge of intense spatial power that engulfed the 4 of them before they vanished without a trace. Meanwhile, in a secret chamber of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, Venerable Mantra sat cross-legged on the stone bed, gripping her old mirror and sensing the faint domain lingering within it. Beads of sweat formed on her forehead, her delicate brows furrowed tightly, and a flicker of pain crossed her face, reflecting a bitter internal struggle. After a long while, she seemed to finally grasp something. The pain faded, and the vacant look in her eyes slowly cleared. She gazed into the mirror, staring at her own reflection, and muttered to herself, "I reflect upon myself daily. I am Venerable Mantra." Behind her head, an arc of golden light flashed and vanished. Since she had sealed her own memories, she had naturally left behind contingencies. The mirror was one of them. If she didn't return for a long time, her disciples would undoubtedly use an item containing her domain to track her down. Upon coming into contact with her own domain, she would gradually remember everything. She closed her eyes, slowly digesting the memories that flooded back like a tidal wave. I self-destructed the Phoenix Feather 9 Flames fan to intercept the 5-star Giant King, and then was hunted down by the other Giant Kings. Knowing escape was impossible, I sealed my memories to prevent bringing disaster to the Central Plains. What happened during that time? How did I escape and make it back to the Central Plains alive? She frowned. There was a complete blank in her memory from the moment she sealed her mind to the moment she crashed into the Central Plains. It should have been impossible to get away, yet somehow she had survived. Setting that aside for now, she slowly absorbed the memories that followed. When I woke up, I was already in the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. That brat Fang Chen saved me. I fell from the sky and almost crushed him to death. Reaching this point in her memories, she couldn't help but chuckle. "Serves you right," she scoffed playfully. "That's what you get for calling me petty. I'll smash right into you." But as the memories continued to flow, her smile vanished. I actually followed Fairy Cloud, Ryman's lead, and called Fang Chen my Fang. And I fought with Fairy Cloud Raymond to hug his arm, refusing to let any other woman near him. Her face flushed crimson in an instant. She cupped her cheeks with both hands, utterly in disbelief. What on earth was I doing? I must have been out of my mind. More memories surfaced, one after another, images of herself clinging to Fang Chen's arm, sweetly calling him her lover. She bit her red lip, her flawless face burning with shame. How am I ever going to show my face again? And Fang Chen didn't even try to stop me. He just watched me embarrass myself, that despicable brat. Up to this point, she couldn't really blame Fang Chen too much. In fact, she mostly felt grateful. Especially when Venerable Crow tried to take her away. Fang Chen had pulled her in with one arm and shielded her behind him. The memory made a spark of gratitude shimmer in her beautiful eyes. However, that sliver of gratitude completely evaporated in the very next second. I went into Fang Chen's secret chamber and even took off my clothes. How did I end up climbing into his bed and cuddling him? She shot up like a coiled spring, her beautiful eyes widening to the size of saucers, absolutely horrified by her own memories. I slept with Fang Chen alongside Fairy Cloud, Raymond. The 3 of us shared the same bed. She clutched her head and shrieked repeatedly, completely unable to process reality. "Fang Chen, I'm going to kill you." Boom, she smashed her way out of the secret chamber, floating above the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion as she screamed frantically, "Fang Chen, you little thief, get out here right now, show yourself." The crowd in the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion cowered inside the Grand Hall, clicking their tongues as they stared at the divine halo gradually forming behind Venerable Mantra's head. Did he really think he could take advantage of a Venerable that easily? The day of reckoning has finally arrived. Inside the blood coffin, the Ice and Fire Demon Monarch sat up. "She's this furious. Don't tell me that kid actually took my advice and sealed the deal with her." "I was just joking. Why did he actually do it? This has nothing to do with me. I'm out of here." Listening to the increasingly unhinged shrieks outside, he quickly laid back down inside his blood coffin. Unable to find Fang Chen, Venerable Mantra gritted her teeth and dragged out the master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion. "Where is Fang Chen?" The master of the Heavenly Secret Pavilion smiled awkwardly. "Venerable, please calm down. From what I know, Fang Chen didn't actively try to take advantage of you." "It was because you lost your memories." Venerable Mantra ground her teeth together. "I don't care about the reasons. I just want to find him. Tell me now." I really don't know where he went, the master of the heavenly secret pavilion replied. Why don't you look around some more? Venerable Mantra was livid. That little scumbag can run, but he can't hide. She'd just wait at the heavenly secrets pavilion. There was no way he wasn't coming back. Just then a sudden sensation drew her gaze to the sky. The voice of the Grand Libationer echoed directly into her soul. The gathered intelligence needs to be shared with you venerables and the Bodhisattva. Come. Venerable Mantra understood. The matter was critical. Not daring to delay, she decisively dropped the master of the heavenly secret pavilion and shot into the sky. Before leaving, she snapped fiercely, Tell that bastard Fang, I'll find him sooner or later. He can't hide. Completely oblivious to the fire burning in his own backyard, Fang Chen stood within the Directorate of Astronomy, staring up in awe at the 9 floating islands. It truly was the official faction of the Taking Grand Province, in a league entirely its own. Other sects, at best, built themselves atop high, grade spirit veins to show off their prestige. Only the Directorate of Astronomy suspended itself entirely in midair. The massive central island was encircled by 8 smaller ones, like stars orbiting the moon. Bakeson pointed to a small island to the northeast. That holds the state-level teleportation array heading to the 10,000 Demons Grand Province. The 8 small islands each housed a state-level teleportation array connecting to the other 8 Grand Provinces. He nodded in understanding. Following Bakeson onto the central main island, he immediately spotted a crowd. Most were familiar faces. The very team that had ventured into the Heaven Realm for the recon mission. Seeing Fang Chen, several proactively walked over to greet him. They were the very same human race experts Fang Chen had rescued from the blood pool. Fang Chen offered a smiling, cupped fist salute to each of them. After exchanging pleasantries, he scanned the crowd, looking slightly puzzled. Vajraphayan didn't come. Bakeson turned to look at him. You didn't know. Vajraphayan encountered an Asura king, remnant soul, in the Heaven Realm. It tried to force him to renounce his vows. Though he escaped, his Buddhist heart was damaged. Right now, he's listening to Zen chants under the Bodhisattva's seat to recover. Dawning realization hit Fang Chen. The 3 strikes from the giant king of fortune had been genuinely terrifying. He had merely been hit by bad luck, and it caused him to crash straight into Yuan Zhu while she was bathing. If not for his chaotic ancient blood emperor seal, she would have slaughtered him on the spot. Meanwhile, Vajraphayan had almost lost his entire cultivation base. At this thought, he couldn't help but look at Bakeson curiously. Are you all right? Bakeson replied, I only ran into some native creatures of the Heaven Realm, nothing major. She said it lightly, but it must have been perilous. Fang Chen added, Right, are the Asura clan members from the Black Cloud Stronghold here at the Directorate of Astronomy. He still owed the Black Cloud Stronghold quite a few Yin-Kai vegetables. Bakeson gave a slight nod. They are. The Grand Libationer is currently considering how to settle them. With so many of the Asura clan, we can't just place them anywhere casually, lest they become a future threat. Fang Chen strongly agreed. Bringing the Asura clan to the central land realm was a double-edged sword. One could never be too careful. Without warning, the void above them shattered. A burly man wreathed in crackling lightning descended like a thunder god. It was none other than Venerable Heart Demon. He strode straight toward the grand hall in the center of the island, known as the Heartless Abode. Evidently, that was where the Grand Libationer awaited. Right on his heels, Venerable Evil Crow also appeared and hurried inside. Fang Chen was stunned. Why are the Venerables here too? Bakeson said, The intelligence gathered is highly classified. It needs to be shown publicly to the Venerables and the Bodhisattva. Fang Chen's eyes widened. Wait, they're going to see mine too. Thinking back to how he had taken advantage of Yuan Zhu, his cheeks started to burn. Bakeson gave him a weird look. Yours is the main one they need to see. She felt Fang Chen was asking a stupid question. Everyone else had aborted their recon early. Fang Chen was the only one who lasted until the end. If they didn't watch his, whose would they watch? Oh, hell no. Fang Chen rubbed his face hard. This is a total setup. I'm about to experience complete social death in front of the Venerables and the Bodhisattva. He waved a hand in dismissal. Commander Bai, I'm feeling a bit under the weather, so I'm gonna take off. Do me a favor and collect my rewards for me. Bakeson grabbed him. Leave, if you leave. Who's going to translate their hell language? It was bad enough that he was going to die of embarrassment, but now it was going to be a public execution. Fang Chen's face darkened. Gritting his teeth, he groaned, I don't even want the rewards anymore. Just then, the void ruptured once more as yet another venerable arrived. Fang Chen was puzzled. 3 deity transformations and 1 bodhisattva. 2 of the soul transformations are already here. Right, who else is coming? It's not like Venerable Mantra can. However, when he got a clear look at the elegant figure in a yellow dress descending from the sky, his jaw nearly hit the floor. Venerable Mantra, even ignoring the divine halo behind her head. The sheer fact that she swapped out Consort Yunxia's signature white dress for her original yellow attire was proof enough. The woman had regained her memories. His head spun. Am I still cursed by the giant king of fortune's bad luck? If Venerable Mantra had woken up a little earlier, they never would have ended up sleeping in the same bed. But she woke up right after it happened. Isn't the universe just out for my blood? No way! Sitting around waiting to die wasn't an option, but Baeksin was watching his every move. They were tied to the Directorate of Astronomy and physically stuck in Tianlin. Even if he slipped through Baeksin's fingers, that almighty cultivator wouldn't let him walk away. Watching Venerable Mantra step into the Wuxin residence, Fang Chen felt like the place had morphed into a tiger's jaws. Walk in and you're never walking out. He needed a plan to hide his identity, the problem. His only face-changing Dharma artifact was the Quaze, ice spiritual artifact, the Thousand Illusions hair crown, and that thing was utterly useless against a venerable. What about using a spirit pill to change his face? He didn't have one on hand, but Mount Sanking definitely would. At that thought, his consciousness dove into his spatial ring. Inside, a totally resigned Reverend Quni was sound asleep. Wrapped tight in layers of lightning chains, the guy really had nothing better to do. Fang Chen's sudden appearance made him jump. Fellow Taoist Fang, what is it? Do you have any face-changing spirit pills? Fang Chen asked. Reverend Quni stammered, I do have one. Fang Chen's eyes lit up. He immediately loosened the lightning chains. Hand it over, quick. He'd totally asked the right guy. Reverend Quni flexed his newly freed limbs but looked hesitant. If you want it, fellow Taoist Fang, I can naturally give it to you. He pulled a brilliantly red spirit pill from his spatial storage artifact. 5 pill veins faintly shimmered on its surface. It was actually a high-tier grade 5 spirit pill. Thrilled, Fang Chen asked, what does it do? Reverend Quni averted his eyes. Once you eat it, you'll turn into the opposite sex. What the hell? Fang Chen's hand jerked, nearly tossing the spirit pill away. Frustrated, he snapped, what kind of cursed spirit pill is this? Turn into a woman. I'd rather face Venerable Mantra. Reverend Quni coughed awkwardly. It only lasts for 3 days. After that, you'll revert back to normal. The Tao head casually whipped it up while experimenting with an ancient pill recipe. A recipe? Fang Chen fell deep into thought. Do you have any other face-changing recipes? Reverend Quni replied, there's one. It's a youth-reverting pill, but the effect only lasts a single day, and I only have the recipe, not the actual spirit pill. Hand it over, Fang Chen demanded. Beggars can't be choosers. Reverend Quni pulled out a massive stack of recipes and started rifling through them. There are too many. Give me a sec to find it. Fang Chen's eyes gleamed. So many recipes. He snatched the entire stack. No need to look. I'll keep these safe for you. Reverend Quni froze. Wait, fellow Taoist Fang, you can't do this. These are top secret Mount Sanking recipes. They absolutely cannot be leaked. Fang Chen nodded without missing a beat. Relax, I won't leak them, but there's no harm in me brewing them myself, right? Brew them yourself? Reverend Quni's eyes widened like he'd seen a ghost. Are you telling me you're a soul master too? Fang Chen ignored the question. Since I'm already holding onto the recipes, you wouldn't mind if I kept your alchemy ingredients safe too, right? Reverend Quni definitely minded. But seeing the lightning chains threatening to bind him again, he begrudgingly handed over the spatial storage artifact containing his life's collection of alchemy ingredients. Along with the password. Fang Chen beamed as he took it. This is completely voluntary, right? No coercion here at all. Reverend Quni gritted his teeth. Yes, entirely voluntary. He never imagined that, at his ripe old age, he'd be subjected to the apprentice-level humiliation of being voluntold to hand over his valuables. Satisfied, Fang Chen withdrew his consciousness. Holding the thick stack of recipes, he casually flipped through them and immediately spotted a familiar spirit pill formula, the Heaven Soaring Pill. Fang Chen was ecstatic. With this recipe, why worry about a tribulation opportunity, and why even bother stressing over that dead, beat Song Ling, you not returning his spirit pill? Beyond that, there were plenty of other incredibly useful recipes that caught his eye, including one specifically meant to cure physical deformities and bloating. He had promised the third princess of the East Sea that he'd keep an eye out for exactly this kind of spirit pill. Thinking back to the third princess, a girl who chose a lifetime of ugliness just to keep her mother safe. A fleeting softness crossed his eyes. Finally, at the very bottom of the stack, he found the recipe for the youth-reverting pill. The effects were exactly as Reverend Q&E had claimed it could revert an elder back to a 10-year-old child. The younger the user, the younger they'd become. As for the ingredients, Fang Chen rummaged through Reverend Q&E's spatial storage artifact. After scraping things together, he managed to gather exactly 3 complete sets. No time to lose, it was time for alchemy. Commander Bai, my nascent soul is suddenly acting up. I need to find a secret chamber to rest and recalibrate. Bakeson glared at Fang Chen. This guy was seriously high maintenance. Glancing toward the islands and confirming that a few groups of out-of-state guests had yet to arrive, she figured they had enough time. She nodded. Follow me. Under Bakeson's arrangements, Fang Chen brought Ling Shu and Lialai with him into a secret chamber. Since both girls were on his side, Fang Chen saw no point in hiding. Right in front of them, he whipped out the sect leader of Sanking Mountain's Black Cauldron, followed by the ingredients for the youth-reverting pill. Ling Shu blinked. Brother, isn't this alchemy? Are you telling us you're actually a soul master? Wasting no time, Fang Chen began purifying the ingredients. Just a little bit, he replied. Ling Shu gasped, covering her mouth with her small hands. Brother, you've been hiding the fact that you're a soul master. That's the most respected profession in the Central Plains. Mount Sanking is absolute garbage and makes enemies everywhere, yet they still live like kings. A huge reason for that is because they have several high-tier soul masters holding the fort. All the major sects need favors from Mount Sanking, so no one wants to completely tear them down. To think Fang Chen was also a soul master, her eyes sparkled with unfiltered admiration. Lialai was equally stunned, her jaw practically dropping. Young Master Fang is actually a soul master. Then a thought struck her. Dragons beget dragons, phoenixes beget phoenixes, so a soul master's child should also be a soul master, right? Needless to say, the perceived value of bearing Fang Chen's children had just skyrocketed. Fang Chen tossed them the spatial storage artifact, along with the recipes for the Heaven Soaring Pill, the Demon Emperor Cultivation Booster, and the Deformity Cure. Help me pick out the corresponding ingredients. Later, I'll brew a batch of spirit pills to boost Demon Emperor Cultivation. You guys can snack on them while we travel. He didn't even need to offer a reward. The 2 girls were already fiercely competing to see who could find the ingredients faster. Seeing this, Fang Chen comfortably focused on refining the youth-reverting pill. It had been a while since his last session, and his technique was a little rusty. The first batch of youth-reverting pills ended in failure. Fang Chen grimaced. If exalted Venerable Xiaoi, I knew someone was butchering his soul art of Tai. Like this, he'd probably rise from the grave just to smack him. Shaking it off, he reset his focus and tried again. Purification, smelting, heat control, hand seals. He executed every single detail to absolute perfection, following the recipe to the letter. Finally, 2 hours later, the cauldron's lid popped open. Resting at the bottom was a white spirit pill, plump, lustrous, and practically humming with rich vitality. 5 distinct pill veins snaked across its surface. The clearer the veins, the higher the quality. This was a mid-tier grade 5 spirit pill. Satisfied, Fang Chen pocketed it. He then seamlessly refined the remaining batch of youth-reverting ingredients, keeping the extra pill as a backup. Right on cue, the 2 girls finished sorting the ingredients for the other 3 types of spirit pills, and he dove straight back into alchemy. Not long after, a floating island outside suddenly shuddered. Bakeson lifted her gaze toward the disturbance due south. She mused, due south, that's Danju's state-level teleportation array. Under her watchful eye, a gray-haired old woman flew in on a cloud, flanked by 2 disciples. The old woman wore plain clothes and sported a weathered face with somewhat cloudy eyes. Yet absolutely no one would dare underestimate her. Hovering just behind her head was a bright white divine halo. She was undeniably a venerable from Danju. The young man and woman trailing behind her were no slouches either. Both radiated the imposing aura of a 7, aperture nascent soul. With that kind of cultivation, they could easily rival the 18 scions of Taking back in Taking Grand Province. Master, is this Taking Grand Province? The female disciple asked. It's exactly as the rumors say. The spiritual energy here is so tragically thin, it's not even 60% of what we have back in Danju. Dressed in a vibrant floral robe, the beautiful female disciple scanned Taking Grand Province with a distinctly condescending gaze. The tall, handsome male disciple glanced around and gently shook his head. It's not just the spiritual energy that's thin in Taking Grand Province, it's providence. When providence drops, it can't sustain spiritual energy. Heaven and earth treasures, premium martial spirit roots, fortuitous opportunity, they all plummet in a vicious chain reaction. The end result. Taikang Grand Province is inferior to the other provinces in every single way. The female disciple looked surprised. Senior brother, what exactly happened to Taikang Grand Province to make it fall so far? Out of the 9 provinces of Middle-earth, those crowned with the title of Grand Province are only Taikang Grand Province, Myriad Yao Grand Province, and Tianju. Even our Danju hasn't earned that prestigious title. Clearly, Taikang Grand Province used to be one of the top 3 most prosperous lands in the realm. Yet, history books are completely vague about how it ended up like this. Not a single concrete mention. It's incredibly bizarre. The male disciple replied with a detached tone, if the history books deliberately omitted it, it must be a massive taboo. Why pry into it and invite disaster upon yourself? Realizing he made sense, the female disciple dropped the subject, though she couldn't help but sigh. The martial artists living in Taikang Grand Province in this era are pretty pathetic. I heard their soul masters are painfully scarce, and high-tier ones can literally be counted on one hand. As they neared the main island, the old woman finally spoke up. We are guests here. Hold your tongues. And show some humility. Taikang Grand Province's providence might be crippled, but it is still full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. You never know what terrifying powerhouse might be laying low here. The male disciple bowed in agreement, but the female disciple still looked unconvinced. In terms of the martial Dao, fine, I'll admit they might have hidden experts. The entire Central Plains witnessed how ferocious Taikang Grand Province was in that war a millennium ago. But when it comes to the path of the Soul Master, Danju has been the absolute holy land since ancient times. Taikang Grand Province can't even hold a candle to us. Honestly, I'd bet the entire Taikang Grand Province doesn't even have enough 5-star Soul Masters to count on one hand. The male disciple chuckled. Junior sister, don't be so hard on Taikang Grand Province. Even with the full backing of our sect, both of us are still stuck at 4 stars, entirely unable to break through to become a 5-star Soul Master. If it's this difficult for Danju to cultivate them, Taikang Grand Province managing to scrape together even 5 is an absolute miracle. Abruptly, their cloud ground to a halt. The old woman locked her gaze onto the main island. A faint plume of smoke, invisible to the naked eye of an ordinary person, was steadily spiraling into the sky. Astonishment flickered in her eyes amid tier grade 5 spirit pill. What profound alchemy mastery. Give this person enough time, and becoming a 6-star Soul Master is practically guaranteed. It seems Taikang Grand Province still has true geniuses after all. The 2 disciples were visibly shaken. The female disciple gaped. Master, are you saying this person has the potential to become a 6-star Soul Master? The old woman nodded slightly. To casually brew a mid-tier grade 5 spirit pill proves that their alchemy technique has already transcended the ordinary. Their skill isn't capped at the 5th grade. They are simply limited by the strength of their soul, making it difficult to forge a tier 6 spirit elixir for now. If they reach soul transformation, they will undoubtedly ascend to a 6-star Soul Master. The female disciple clicked her tongue in awe. How many years has it been since Danju produced a 6-star Soul Master? Master, you were totally right. Taikang Grand Province really is crawling with hidden monsters. Curiosity sparked in the old woman's eyes. Since we've crossed paths with a fellow Taoist of such caliber, we should pay our respects first. I shouldn't need to remind you two how to address him, correct? The female disciple's expression turned entirely serious. Naturally, we will respectfully address them as senior. The old woman nodded and led her 2 disciples over to the secret chamber. Standing guard outside, Bakesin gave a courteous bow. Greetings, Senior Venerable of Danju. The old woman assessed Bakesin before asking, is that a Soul Master from the Directorate of Astronomy practicing alchemy inside the secret chamber? Soul Master? Who? Bakesin looked blank for a second before shaking her head. No, it's just a friend resting inside. A friend? Bakesin was only 19 or so. How old could her friend possibly be? For a split second, the old woman genuinely wondered if she'd gotten the wrong place. But as the lingering alchemy smoke above the secret chamber slowly dissipated, she knew she hadn't made a mistake. Since the refinement process was clearly over, there was no harm in interrupting. She tapped lightly on the door. May I ask which fellow Taoist is brewing inside? Would you be open to a chat? Inside the secret chamber, Fang Chen had just finished brewing all 3 batches. He now had 10 heaven soaring pills, alongside a whopping 50 spirit pills to cure deformities and 50 dragon blood pills to boost Yao clan cultivation. He tossed 10 of the dragon blood pills to each of the 2 girls, more than enough for them to pop like jelly beans on the road. Naturally, Fang Chen was taking the remaining 30 back for Yunsheng, Nuxin, Chai, Yu, and Sister Bai's family. As for that little rebel, that guy could just stick to smashing boulders on his chest. He didn't deserve a cultivation boost. Right as he finished sorting the loot, a voice echoed from outside. Fang Chen blinked in surprise. Did my alchemy make a scene? I thought I kept it quiet. Frowning slightly, he pushed the heavy stone door open, only for his pupils to instantly shrink at the sight before him. An old woman with a glowing divine halo floating behind her head was standing right outside his door. He looked absolutely floored. Where the hell did another venerable pop out from? The old woman was even more flabbergasted, staring at Fang Chen in absolute shock. You were the one doing alchemy. A 5-star soul master this young? You've got to be kidding me. Even Danju has never birthed such a heaven-defying alchemy monster. To be a 5-star soul master at his age meant that becoming a 6-star soul master was essentially set in stone. If his fortuitous opportunity was good enough, he might even reach the absolute pinnacle of the Central Plains as a 7-star soul master. The two disciples were just as dumbfounded, staring at Fang Chen in sheer disbelief. The senior their master had sworn was a future 6-star soul master was actually a teenager, even younger than they were. This completely shattered their pride as the heavens-chosen soul masters of Danju. Fang Chen thought it over and decided not to hide his identity as a soul master as aggressively as before. With his current strength, his status as a 5-star soul master wouldn't pose too much of a danger. That would be me, senior. How can I help you? The old woman's jaw dropped in shock. I am a 6-star soul master of Danju, she said. I serve as the Vice Palace Master of the Palace of Longevity. You can call me Vice Palace Master Yu. As a soul, transformation, venerable, and a highly renowned 6-star soul master. Normally, she would never introduce herself to a junior of her own accord. She only showed this kind of respect to her peers, which proved just how highly she regarded Fang Chen. Fang Chen was stunned. Was this elder being a bit too polite? Not daring to put on airs, he said, Junior Fang Chen greets you, Senior Yu. Your name is Fang Chen. Vice Palace Master Yu smiled. Would it be convenient to let me see the spirit pill you just refined? Based on just a wisp of residual smoke, she could only make a rough guess, unable to be certain of his true level of alchemy. Fang Chen glanced at Bakeson and the Vice Palace Master's two disciples. It's crowded out here, Senior Yu, let's head inside. Understanding his meaning, Vice Palace Master Yu turned to her disciples. Wait out here. Entering the secret chamber, Vice Palace Master Yu noticed two beautiful girls. Fang Chen introduced them. They're my friends. Don't worry about them, Senior Yu. He took out a dragon blood pill. This was the one he had refined in the largest quantity, so even if the Venerable asked for it, his loss would be minimal. Taking the dragon blood pill, Vice Palace Master Yu's eyes lit up. It really is a mid-grade 5 spirit pill. Incredible, a casual attempt, and it's already a mid-grade 5 spirit pill. In terms of alchemy alone, you're already on par with this old woman, young friend Fang. The wisp of residual smoke she had sensed earlier was definitely not from this dragon blood pill. This meant Fang Chen was refining different types of grade 5 spirit pills, and every single one reached mid-grade. His technique was incredibly stable. There were two criteria to advance to a 6-star soul master, the first being the ability to refine a tier 6 spirit elixir. The other was the ability to consistently refine grade 5 spirit pills. Both were absolutely necessary. Under certain special conditions, even a 5-star soul master stood a chance of refining a tier 6 spirit elixir. Hence the requirement of refining grade 5 spirit pills. Only extraordinary alchemy skills could consistently refine grade 5 spirit pills. The youth before her was essentially a 6-star soul master. Once his soul power was strong enough, refining a tier 6 spirit elixir would be effortless. Fang Chen said, You flatter me, Senior. It was just a fluke. Vice Palace Master Yu smiled. No need to be modest. Amateurs look at the surface, but experts look at the craft. I know exactly how high your skill level is. Who is your teacher to achieve so much at such a young age? I can't imagine how powerful your master must be. How could Fang Chen risk exposing Venerable Zioyo? He quickly replied, I simply came across a bit of alchemy inheritance and taught myself. Self-taught, just how high is your innate talent? She had guided her own two disciples every step of the way, yet they still hadn't advanced to 5-star soul masters. Curious, she couldn't help but discuss the Tao of alchemy with Fang Chen. This was Fang Chen's first time exchanging insights with another soul master, let alone a 6-star soul master. Eagerly, he engaged in the discussion. Vice Palace Master, you had initially intended to test Fang Chen, but as their discussion deepened, she realized his understanding of the Tao of alchemy was not inferior to her own. Many of his insights were incredibly refreshing to her. It felt as if she were talking to a peer of the same rank, another 6-star soul master. In fact, over 2 hours passed in the blink of an eye, without her even realizing it. It wasn't until her disciple knocked on the door that she snapped back to reality. The Grand Libationer requests your presence. There was no way the Grand Libationer wouldn't know of Vice Palace Master Yu's arrival at the Directorate of Astronomy. Seeing her head to Fang Chen, he hadn't stopped her. He just hadn't expected her to stay inside Fang Chen's secret chamber for so long, leaving him with no choice but to send someone to remind her. Vice Palace Master Yu was left wanting more. She had benefited immensely from this exchange. But with pressing matters still waiting for her, she had to let it go. Young friend Fang, which major sect are you with? Once this old woman finishes her duties, I'll come find you to keep this discussion going. Fang Chen had also learned a great deal from her. She was a genuine 6-star soul master with incredibly seasoned alchemy experience, exactly what Fang Chen lacked. Naturally, he was more than happy to chat again. I am the Chief Deputy Pavilion, Master of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. Vice Palace Master, you committed the name to memory, Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. The name alone sounded prestigious. It was undoubtedly a top-tier sect. With alchemy skills that easily ranked #1 in the Taking Grand Prefecture, Fang Chen was more than qualified to be their Chief Deputy Pavilion Master. I will pay a visit as soon as I have some free time. As she stood up, she noticed Liulai and Ling Shu sitting quietly on either side of Fang Chen. Since Fang Chen had kept the two girls close without any reservation while they discussed the Tao of alchemy, she guessed their relationship was far from ordinary. Smiling, she took out 2 grade 5 spirit pills. For you 2 girls, a little meeting gift. Liulai and Ling Shu looked closer and realized these were spirit pills capable of purifying Yao clan bloodlines. Though not as potent as the 6th grade ancestry returning pill that Fairy Cloud Raymond had taken, they were still incredibly rare and precious treasures for anyone of the Yao clan. Thank you, Senior, Fang Chen said, showing his gratitude. Vice Palace Master Yu chuckled, handed the spirit pills to the girls, and took her leave in high spirits. Ling Shu happily accepted the spirit pill and said, "Thank you, brother." To receive a pill from a venerable was something she had never even dared to dream of. Now, simply by sitting next to Fang Chen, she was reaping the benefits of the venerable's favor. Liulai was also overjoyed. Thank you, young Master Fang. Hanging out with the Soul Master really pays off. If she ever gave birth to a Soul Master son, she'd probably get hand cramps just from receiving all the gifts. While the 2 girls were celebrating, Fang Chen's real challenge still lay ahead. He took out the rejuvenation pill, a look of helplessness on his face. Heartless residents. As Vice Palace Master you arrived, the Grand Libationer, Venerable Heart Demon, Venerable Evil Crow, and Venerable Mantra all stood up and went to the entrance to greet her. Not only was she a venerable of their caliber, but she was also a 6-star soul master. Her status technically surpassed theirs. None of them dared to show any disrespect. Venerable Heart Demon was the most excited. If not for the Grand Libationer's invitation, a soul master of her tier would have been nearly impossible to recruit. Vice Palace Master Yu, I am Venerable Heart Demon. I've been waiting for you, Venerable Heart Demon said with a wry smile. Vice Palace Master, you saw right through Venerable Heart Demon's condition, a combination of old and new injuries. It was indeed severe. The Grand Libationer had invited Vice Palace Master Yu specifically to help heal Venerable Heart Demon. Otherwise, the latter wouldn't stand a chance against the Giant Lord. We request your help in refining a purple soul Hunyuan pill. We have prepared all the necessary ingredients. We only need you to perform the alchemy. Vice Palace Master Yu was taken aback. The purple soul Hunyuan pill is a grade 5 spirit pill. Your Taking Grand Province should be able to refine it yourselves. Why delay your treatment just to wait for this old woman? She was genuinely puzzled. Isn't there a master of alchemy waiting right outside? Why look so far when the solution is right on your doorstep? Venerable Heart Demon replied in shame. To be honest, I already approached Mount Sanking for help, but out of the 10 sets of materials I painstakingly gathered, they wasted all but this last one. Refining a purple soul Hunyuan pill is exceptionally difficult. It's nearly on par with a mid-tier grade 5 spirit pill. Our Taking Grand Province simply lacks any outstanding alchemical talent. Sigh. The more Vice Palace Master you listened, the more baffled she became. If the taking Grand Province lacked the talent to refine mid-tier grade 5 spirit pills, then who on earth had she just been talking to outside? A ghost. She grumbled, "You lot have the means to get it done, yet you insist on making this old woman work. Fine, fine, I'll refine it for you." Venerable Heart Demon frowned and looked at Venerable Mantra, completely bewildered. He had no idea what she meant. How could they possibly have the capability to refine this? Venerable Mantra was equally clueless. There were only a handful of people in the Taking Grand Province who could refine grade 5 spirit pills. If there was someone capable of making a mid-tier one, how could they not know? Vice Palace Master, you didn't delay. She set up her cauldron and began the refinement process on the spot. As she worked, she asked, "Who else is coming today?" Wearing loose white robes, his thin hair framing a wrinkled but radiant face, the Grand Libationer stroked his beard and smiled. Several neighboring provinces are sending representatives. They want to try their luck in the Tianjin battlefield, and they also want to see what is happening with the Black Sun Royal Court hanging above our Taking Grand Province. At this, he couldn't help but look a bit smug. The sky-touching black pillars haven't only appeared in our Taking Grand Province, they've been cropping up in other provinces lately too. They all sent scouts up to investigate. But without exception, every single one of them returned defeated, completely in the dark. Only Fang Chen of our Taking Grand Province managed to infiltrate the Black Sun Royal Court's stronghold. Not only that, he even penetrated deep into forbidden grounds like the Ancient Sinkhole, gathering intelligence on everything. It's an unprecedented feat across the 9 provinces of Middle-earth. The other provinces have no choice but to swallow their pride and come to our Taking Grand Province to study our intelligence on the Black Sun Royal Court, hoping to use it as a reference for the tribes they will have to face. I must say, Taking Grand Province has truly made a massive name for itself among the 9 provinces this time. Vice Palace Master, you nodded slightly. The young fellow from your Taking Grand Province who ascended to the Heaven Realm is indeed something. To infiltrate the royal court and make it back alive, I have to hand it to him. Thinking back to the young, near 6-star Soul Master Fang Chen, she sighed with admiration. They say the Taking Grand Province is a land of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. I've finally seen it for myself. Even a random major sect hides figures completely unknown to the outside world. The Grand Libationer looked proud, as leaders of 2 great sects, Venerable Heart Demon and Venerable Evil Crow, shared in this glory, subconsciously straightening their postures. Compliments from fellow Taking natives didn't give them much of a sense of achievement, as they all belonged to the same province, and such praise could easily be dismissed as flattery. But praise from an out-of-province Venerable was a different story altogether. It made them feel that their years of sacrifice were finally being recognized. But Vice Palace Master Yu's next words made them freeze in their tracks, especially this divine sect called the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. If even a Vice Pavilion Master is this incredible, just how formidable must their Pavilion Master and the masterminds backing them be? The massive Wux in residence fell dead silent. Not only were Venerable Heart Demon and Venerable Evil Crow completely dumbfounded, but Venerable Mantra and the Grand Libationer were also left utterly stunned. The Heavenly Secrets Pavilion as a divine sect. What kind of bizarre joke was that? Yet looking at Vice Palace Master Yu's completely serious expression, she didn't seem to be kidding. Venerable Mantra even started to doubt himself. Had he been staying at a fake Heavenly Secrets Pavilion for the past month? That tiny, insignificant place didn't even have a decent spirit vein, let alone any connection to a divine sect. The Grand Libationer's hand paused as he stroked his beard. He asked tentatively, "Vice Palace Master Yu, is it possible you've misunderstood the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion? It's just a small sect that was founded recently, exactly 1 month ago, to be precise." Vice Palace Master Yu abruptly stopped her alchemy, her face blank with shock. "Are you pulling my leg? A small sect founded just a month ago." The Grand Libationer nodded, with fewer than 30 members. Vice Palace Master Yu felt as if she had seen a ghost. How could such an alchemy prodigy lower himself to be a mere Vice Pavilion Master in some tiny sect? If she brought him back to the Longevity Palace, his alchemy skills could easily secure him a position as a Peak Master, second only to her. Realizing these venerables had absolutely no idea such a figure existed in Taking, her mind began to race with possibilities. Keeping someone like him in the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion, or even the Taking Grand Province, was a total waste of talent. The male and female disciples standing beside her were utterly confused. On their way here, their master had clearly said the man was the Vice Pavilion Master of the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion. How had the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion suddenly become a small sect? The female disciple asked in bewilderment. Are you sure you aren't joking? That chief. Before she could finish, Vice Palace Master, you flicked a medicinal pill right into her open mouth. Caught off guard, she swallowed it, choking and coughing violently as if she might die right then and there. Vice Palace Master, you smiled and said, "It's nothing, nothing." I must have misheard. She immediately sent a secret mental transmission to her two disciples, since the taking Grand Province has no idea Fang Chen is a near 6-star soul master. Let's keep them in the dark forever. The male disciple carefully replied via transmission, "What is your plan, Master?" Vice Palace Master, you said, "Let's get through the Tianjin battlefield first. When we leave, we'll pack Fang Chen up and take him with us." Pack him up? The male disciple's mouth twitched. What if he refuses to come? Vice Palace Master, you snorted. Then we knock him out and carry him off. Meanwhile, movement stirred across several islands as guests from other provinces began to arrive one after another. Seeing that most of the guests had arrived, the Grand Libationer sent a message to Bakeson. Outside the secret chamber, Bakeson knocked on the door. "The Grand Libationer is rushing us. You should come out now." Inside the room, seeing no way out, Fang Chen gritted his teeth and swallowed a rejuvenation pill. As the medicinal effects kicked in, his bones popped and crackled, rapidly shrinking. His flesh, skin, and hair all shrank proportionally, and his cultivation level plummeted rapidly. In just 10 breaths of time, he had shrunk into a 5-year-old child with absolutely no cultivation left. The clothes he was wearing instantly pooled loosely onto the floor. Fang Chen quickly squatted down, grabbing his clothes to wrap around his lower half as he cried out, "Why did I turn into a 5-year-old?" His voice had turned into a cute high-pitched squeak. Ling Shu and Lialai stared in sheer disbelief. Watching a teenage Fang Chen transform into a 5-year-old child right before their eyes was surreal. But looking closer, they noticed the child version of Fang Chen had a pair of clear, wide eyes, a perfectly round head, and a tiny nose and mouth. His fan-like eyelashes fluttered softly every time he blinked. A wonderfully clean and adorable little boy stood before them. Ling Shu's eyes lit up. She squatted down and pinched Fang Chen's cheek. "Wow, is this really what you looked like as a kid, brother? You're so adorable." Lialai was suddenly overwhelmed with maternal instincts. She scooped Fang Chen up, planting a flurry of noisy kisses on his soft, chubby cheeks. "I'm obsessed. My future son has to look exactly like this. If he turns out even slightly off, I'm throwing him out and having another." Fang Chen was speechless, his tiny hands struggling to push them away. "Cut it out. I have actual work to do. From now on, I am Fang Chen's." Seeing his adorably fierce pout, Ling Shu and Lialai adored him even more. Ling Shu's eyes gleamed with mischief. "Well, you need a name. Let's call you Fang Ling Shu." "You're scheming too hard." Lialai instantly grew annoyed. "It should be Fang Lialai. Does Fang Ling Shu sound good?" "No, Fang Lialai sounds way better." The two began bickering again, pulling Fang Chen back and forth, as if they were going to tear him in half. Fang Chen had to surrender. "All right, stop arguing. Let's go with Fang Lingli." Realizing he had combined characters from both of their names, the two girls were finally satisfied. It was a bit of a mouthful, but at least they both got a claim on him. Fang Chen said, "Wait here, I'll go to Wax, in residence alone." He took out an earthy yellow aura orb. It was the one belonging to Wang Changsu. Back in the deep pit of the East Sea when the Giant King emerged, it was this very aura orb that had allowed him to hide underground and escape with his life. Even the Giant King hadn't detected this aura orb, so Bakeson would find it even harder to notice. Lialai stared at Fang Chen's chubby, bare skin. "Are you going without any clothes?" "Right." Fang Chen smacked his forehead. He had been so focused on reverting his age that he forgot to prepare clothes that fit. Where was he supposed to find child-sized clothes at a moment's notice? Seeing this, Lialai smirked. With a wave of her hand, over 40 outfits appeared on the floor, ranging in sizes for ages 1 to 10. Each age group had 4 seasonal sets, all woven from premium Yao Clan silk. Fang Chen's temple twitched. Lialai had to be completely obsessed with becoming a mother, preparing this much for a future kid. It was absolutely ridiculous. "Master Fang, pick an outfit for my future child," Lialai said, her face full of anticipation, as if she could already see her own child wearing the clothes she had made with her own hands. Unable to deal with her persistence, Fang Chen picked out a white shorts, sleeve and shorts set meant for a 5-year-old. A cute little kitten was embroidered on the chest, and next to it, Lialai had stitched "Mommy will always love you." Fang Chen couldn't bring himself to wear it, not in a million years. But with Bakeson urging him on again, he had no choice. He grit his teeth, closed his eyes, and squeezed into the clothes. While Leoli gasped, her eyes sparkling, he quickly popped the earthy, yellow aura orb into his mouth. Fortunately, the aura orb was a natural treasure that didn't require any spiritual energy to activate. In an instant, his entire body merged with the ground, and he sank right into the earth. Ling Shu and Leoli quickly wiped the smiles off their faces, threw open the stone door, and cried out in feigned panic, "Big brother is gone." What? Bakeson didn't believe it. She rushed into the secret chamber, only to find it completely empty. Remembering that Fang Chen could turn invisible, she decisively drew her sword and swept her sword Kai across the entire secret chamber. Still, there was no sign of him. Could he use spatial secret arts too? And why did he run? Confused, Bakeson could only head off to search the distance. Only after she left did Fang Chen pop out of the ground. He couldn't let Bakeson see him coming out of the secret chamber. Otherwise, she would easily connect the dots and realize this little pint-sized kid was actually Fang Chen, rendering all his efforts to hide his identity completely useless. He poked his head out and said, "Ling Shu, Leoli, wait for me here." With that, he scurried off toward the Wuxin residence. Inside the Wuxin residence, the guests from the various provinces had been waiting for a long time and were growing impatient. Among them, a burly man clad in black armor with a single horn on his head radiated a terrifying demonic energy. Looking highly annoyed, he spoke up. "Grand Libationer, what are we still waiting for? Just release the intelligence already. Our time is valuable, and we're all busy." Hearing his blunt words, the Grand Libationer merely smiled without a word. He took out a jade platter and flicked his finger, projecting an image into midair. The projection showed Fang Chen's perspective during his conversation with the young master of the Black Cloud stronghold. The two of them were babbling in the Hell language, which absolutely no one present could understand. Only then did the Grand Libationer speak up slowly. "If any of you can understand the Hell language, we can begin right now." The burly man's face stiffened. He let out a muffled grunt and shut his mouth. As a representative of the Waniao Grand Province, coming all the way to the Take-in Grand Province for intelligence was already embarrassing enough. He just wanted to get this over with, get out of here, and send his sex disciples over once the Tianjin battlefield opened. Venerable Mantra finally understood, so the Grand Libationer is waiting for a translator among our human race. Since when did they have someone who excelled in the Hell Realm script? Having lost her memories for a month, she was out of the loop on many events in the outside world. The Grand Libationer nodded. Indeed, Venerable Mantra was astonished. "We have someone like that in our Taking Grand Province." The Grand Libationer gave a meaningful look. "Didn't you just rush over from his sect, the Heavenly Secrets Pavilion?" Venerable Mantra froze, then suddenly sat up straight, her beautiful face turning icy cold. "You don't mean Fang Chen, do you?" She remembered now. Fang Chen was always blowing his own horn, claiming to be the translator for Venerable Heart Demon. Seeing the Grand Libationer nod to confirm it was indeed Fang Chen, Venerable Mantra's anger surged instantly. She let out a furious laugh. "Fine. I couldn't find him, and now he delivers himself right to my doorstep. He'd better not blame me for what comes next." Deputy Palace Master, you marveled inwardly. What a kid. He actually mastered the Hell language too. If I don't secure a talent like this, the sages of Dan Province will give me a proper earful once they find out. Rapid footsteps pattered outside the door. Fang Chen had arrived. Venerable Mantra glared toward the door with a cold smile. She was absolutely, definitely not letting this detestable rogue off the hook. However, her smile froze, and everyone in the room stared in disbelief. The one who walked in wasn't Fang Chen, but a little boy around 5 years old. He had big, bright eyes, flawless skin, and chubby, rosy cheeks, clad in a cute shorts, leave and shorts, set with a little animal embroidered on it. He was hard not to adore. "Where did this kid come from?" Venerable Mantra asked, utterly baffled. Fang Chen stepped forward and said in a sweet, childish voice, "Hello, everyone. I'm Fang Chen's younger brother. My brother dropped me off on the island and left, but he asked me to translate the text for him. Please take care of me." His adorable baby voice made everyone smile. Who could possibly stay angry at such an adorable child? The Grand Libationer was the only one rubbing his temples. Bakeson had brought Fang Chen back herself. If Fang Chen really had a younger brother, wouldn't Bakeson have mentioned it? Considering the number of times Fang Chen had left his jaw on the floor aboard the Heavenly Ark, the Grand Libationer knew exactly who this little kid was. But with so many outsiders around, he couldn't expose him. He had to play along. Ahem, do you understand the Hell language? Fang Chen nodded. Imemhem. The Grand Libationer nodded and activated the crystal projection. All right then, just translate whenever you need to. Fang Chen said obediently, "Okay, Grandpa." Seeing how adorable and obedient he was, and because he was Fang Chen's brother, Deputy Palace Master, you instantly took a liking to him. She reached out with a warm, grandmotherly smile. "Oh, aren't you a little sweetheart? Come to Grandma, let me hold you." But Venerable Mantra beat her to the punch. She stood up, scooped him up, sat back down, and placed him right on her lap. "You're Fang Chen's brother. How come no one's ever mentioned you?" Feeling the warmth of her smooth, shapely thighs beneath him, Fang Chen's mind went blank. "Are you kidding me, Venerable Mantra? I went through all this trouble to avoid you, and you're practically forcing me to take advantage of you." He tried to wriggle off her long, cool, smooth legs, but Venerable Mantra just pulled him right back and settled him securely on her lap. "You still haven't told me your name." Suppressing his sheer awkwardness, Fang Chen chirped in his baby voice. "My name is Fang Lingley." Venerable Mantra raised an eyebrow. "What a tongue twister of a name. Where did your brother, Fang Chen, go?" Fang Chen shook his head. "I don't know. He dropped me off and ran." Venerable Mantra let out a soft huff. "That brat. He probably knew I woke up and slipped away early, but he might have run. But can his little brother run too?" With that thought, she looked down at Fang Lingley in her arms and said softly, "Don't be afraid. Auntie will protect you." Fang Chen nodded with a sweet smile. "Thank you, big sister, big sister." Venerable Mantra couldn't help but giggle. "What a sweet talker. He's 100 times better than his brother." What woman doesn't like being called young? She was technically old enough to be his aunt, but being called big sister by such a cute kid. She couldn't possibly stay mad at that. "Here, big sister has something tasty for you." She took out a spirit fruit, peeled it, and fed the pieces to Fang Chen. Fang Chen's soul recoiled. This wasn't food, it was a death warrant. Holding back tears, he forced himself to munch on it, one piece at a time. It was a heartwarming scene that made many smile, except for the Grand Libationer, who couldn't stop rubbing his temples. Suddenly, they encountered a group of 9 aperture giants, who began spewing a stream of gibberish. Everyone turned to their resident translator, Fang Chen, who began a live interpretation. Realizing it was just mindless bravado and threats, the crowd lost interest in the dialogue and focused on the battle instead. At the climax, just as the group was about to be turned into paste by a spiked club, the owner of the vision, Fang Chen, made his move. A 9-aperture giant suddenly sank into the chaos lake. It struggled to climb out, only for Fang Chen to blast its head off with flames from the heaven, refining furnace. The venerables were stunned. Was that Fang Chen, a junior, soloing an ancient giant of that level? He must be one of the 18 scions of Taking, right? Even Venerable Mantra was shocked. She muttered, "This kid, he looks so quiet, but he's a beast when he fights." She realized she had seriously underestimated Fang Chen. Fang Chen let out a sigh of relief. The Grand Libationer had already masked the signals from his immeasurable ring and heaven, refining furnace, saving him from a lot of unwanted attention. Before dying, the 9-aperture giant barked a threat, which Fang Chen translated, "There's no going back for you. We knew you were coming." Hearing this, the Venerable's expressions shifted. The Grand Libationer narrowed his eyes. "So, it seems our take in Grand Province has a mole leaking intel to the ancient giants. That piece of intel alone was worth a major reward." The projection continued with the conversation with Shanfeng. Fang Chen translated it all, though there wasn't much of note. Their attention was quickly stolen by the Stone Giant King. Its terrifying 60-meter frame was a massive visual shock to those who had never seen a Giant King before. Venerable Mantra grew nervous and pulled Fang Chen into a tight embrace, inadvertently burying the back of his head in her chest. His face flushed red as he tried to squirm free, but Venerable Mantra held him fast. He had no choice but to lean back, a mix of agony and bliss. The room fell silent, even breathing felt heavy. Everyone stared at the scene, the disciples especially, frozen in place. Even through a projection, the suffocating pressure was palpable. If they had faced a Giant King, they wouldn't have been able to move. Their minds would have gone blank with despair. But Fang Chen did the unthinkable. While the Giant King was distracted, he snapped the arm, bound onto it, allowing everyone to escape. What truly blew their minds was that before leaving, Fang Chen swiped the Stone Giant King's burlap sack and tossed out a yoink. The crowd was caught between awe and utter disbelief. At this point, the Grand Libationer paused the feed. He saved everyone, which is one merit. He also confirmed a brand new piece of intel: ancient giants cannot enter the village. Experts from various provinces whipped out their notebooks to record this crucial discovery. Next, the scene showed Fang Chen trading items with the Stone Giant King. The stone giant king, realizing he'd been played, was hopping mad, cursing Fang Chen's entire bloodline. This part was too much for several venerables, who burst out laughing. One poked Fang Chen's head. "Your brother is such a menace." Fang Chen's face darkened. Really? Insulting a guy right to his face? Then came the talk with Ming Yi. The atmosphere turned heavy again as pens scratched frantically across paper. The Ancient Sinkhole was turning people into ancient giants, boosting their numbers like never before. However, there was a way to reverse the process. "Deputy Palace Master, you slammed the table. This is huge. If the Black Sun Royal Court has an Ancient Sinkhole, do the other tribes have them too?" Even the armored demon monarch looked grim. His disciples were taking notes at lightning speed. To be honest, this intel alone made the long journey worth it. Only Venerable Evil Crow looked disgruntled. This was a group effort. You can't give all the credit to Fang Chen. Fang Chen glanced at the old man. The visiting venerables were full of praise, yet this guy, one of their own, was acting salty. If you didn't know better, you'd think he was working for another province. No wonder he'd raised a spineless coward like the sect master of the Great Yin sect. Venerable Evil Crow had zero sense of collective pride. He only cared about his personal grudges, like father, like son. The Grand Libationer gave him a cold look and said flatly, "Keep watching." The next scene showed the group heading for the Black Sun Royal Court. Following Fang Chen's perspective, everyone got a clear look at the inner workings of the Black Sun Royal Court. The sight of 100-strong battalion of ancient giants training sent a chill through the room. Finally, they watched as Fang Chen and the others infiltrated the secret chamber of the armory to steal the treasures. Grand Libationer blocked the feed of the treasures again. No one knew what Fang Chen had taken. The armored demon monarch grumbled in frustration, censoring this, blocking that. "We finally get to the best part, the treasure looting, and suddenly we can't watch. This is seriously annoying." The Grand Libationer laughed hoarsely. "It's nothing, really, just a few little trinkets." The corners of several out-of-province venerables' mouths twitched. Something hidden deep within a secret chamber by the ancient giants had to be a sacred treasure of the tribe. How could it be a mere trinket? But in the next moment, everyone's hearts tightened. Another giant king appeared before them, suppressing everyone so heavily that they couldn't even use their spatial marks to escape. Was there any way to survive this? But right after, Fang Chen once again showed everyone what it meant to stay cool under pressure. Using his old tricks, he temporarily suppressed the space giant king to buy everyone time to escape, and even released over a dozen captured Central Plains warriors. Just as everyone breathed a sigh of relief, Fang Chen crashed right into a spatial barrier and stumbled upon a beautiful woman bathing. But just as things got interesting, the feed was blocked again. The armored demon monarch finally snapped. "Grand Libationer, if you do this again, I'm going to lose it. You're messing with our heads." The Grand Libationer smiled helplessly. "It really wasn't me this time. Spatial marks don't record everything. Anything too revealing gets censored automatically." Only Fang Chen knows what he actually saw. Venerable Mantra was speechless. She poked Fang Chen's forehead again and snorted, "Your brother is such a playboy." While others are risking their lives in the heaven realm, he's busy enjoying romantic encounters. It's unbelievable. Rubbing his forehead, Fang Chen said aggrievedly, "Sister, why did you poke me?" Venerable Mantra snapped out of it, realizing she shouldn't be venting her anger on the younger Fang Chen. She quickly massaged Fang Chen's forehead and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, it's my fault. There, it doesn't hurt anymore." She cradled Fang Chen's head and planted a kiss on his forehead. Well, Fang Chen was already numb to it. They had already slept in the same bed and embraced. One more kiss wouldn't hurt. At that moment, the projection shifted again. Fang Chen was captured by the Space Giant King, the Giant King of Fortune, and Laju, who had revealed her true identity as an Asura King. Venerable Mantra said gleefully, "Good. Now it's your brother's turn to suffer." HMPH. Venerable Evil Crow smirked. "Fang Chen must have suffered quite a beating here, didn't he?" Deputy Palace Master, you also sighed. "It couldn't be helped. Against 3 venerable level enemies, it's a miracle he even made it back alive. Suffering a little was inevitable." But in the next instant, the entire hall fell into a dead silence. They saw what the 3 venerables had done to Fang Chen, but shortly after, Fang Chen lowered his head and buried his face in the beautiful Asura King's chest. Once again, the projection blurred. The armored demon monarch slammed his palm down, smashing the table to pieces. "Are you kidding me? Not this again." The Grand Libationer coughed dryly. "This part isn't very interesting. I already watched it for you." As the projection continued, everyone froze in place, utterly stunned. They watched as Fang Chen casually draped his arm around the Asura king and swaggered back with them to the Black Sun royal court. It made them question their entire reality. Can someone tell me what just happened? Not only did he avoid a beating, but how did he actually win over that Asura king and make her his willing partner? Seriously, just how handsome is this Fang Chen? I don't buy it. Who has his portrait? Let me see how ridiculously good looking he actually is. The disciples could no longer keep their composure. Venerable Mantra clenched her fists until her knuckles cracked. That bastard, how is he getting away with this? Venerable Evil Crow's face darkened. He had come to see Fang Chen make a fool of himself, not to watch him thrive. Several out-of-province venerables were also dumbfounded. This was a level of smooth talking that no ordinary person could replicate. Soon, the projection shifted to the Ancient Sinkhole. They saw 3 members of the human race thrown into the blood pool and fully transformed into ancient giants. Instantly, everyone's expression shifted. Our human race can be completely transformed. The venerables' expressions grew incredibly grave. Fortunately, a mysterious male Asura soon appeared and severely wounded the space giant king with a single spear strike, leaving him on the brink of death. What made them cheer even more was that Fang Chen had actually poisoned the space giant king to death. He killed the space giant king. Deputy Palace Master, you gasped, his eyes wide with shock. We have to recruit him. If we don't bring a talent who has both brains and brawn back to Dan Province, it will haunt me forever. Venerable Mantra was stunned. This guy constantly shatters my expectations. He can even kill a giant king. Soon, Laju fell from the sky, and Fang Chen rushed to save her. He chewed up a rejuvenation pill, leaned down, and kissed her. The feed was blocked again. Before anyone could lose their temper, the Grand Libationer coughed and said, I know everyone doesn't like watching this, so I blocked it. Let's keep moving forward. When they looked again, the 3 Aperture Asura King had transformed into a 3-star Giant King, only to be changed back by Fang Chen. The name of a substance called Sage Crystal Marrow was quickly noted down by everyone. Before they could catch their breath, a 5-star giant arrived, with 5 colored clouds paving the way and primeval beasts marching. The breathtaking scene shook even the venerables to their core. And when Fang Chen's gaze landed on that terrifying 5-star giant king, golden all over and majestic as a supreme deity, the onlookers could no longer remain seated, rising to their feet in sheer awe. Their hearts pounded wildly. This was the overwhelming pressure of a 5-star giant king. Even through a projection, it left the venerables feeling suffocated. They couldn't begin to imagine how Fang Chen had managed to escape with his life when facing a 5-star giant king. Yet, Fang Chen's next move completely blew their minds once again. He actually managed to talk his way out of it, tricking the 5-star giant king into sparing his life. This kid is slipperier than an eel. Deputy Palace Master, you didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She hadn't noticed anything unusual during her previous alchemy discussions with Fang Chen, but watching his experiences in the Heaven Realm now completely shattered her perception. Afterward, the 5-star Giant King took Fang Chen to the edge of the temporary stronghold. During this time, Fang Chen stripped down completely, and Laju personally smeared some substance onto him. Sure enough, the projection went blank again, and everyone had already grown numb to it. Venerable Evil Crow's blood pressure spiked. Watching Fang Chen enjoy all these beautiful women without suffering a single setback made him fume. Is this a Heaven Realm survival story? Or should we rename it How to Pick Up Girls in Heaven? Only when the 5-star Giant King forced Fang Chen to go on a suicide mission to the temporary stronghold did Venerable Evil Crow's face soften slightly. He's finally going to pay a heavy price, right? After watching Fang Chen have it so easy the entire time, the crowd was also secretly hoping he would suffer a setback, if only to give them some peace of mind. Venerable Mantra also breathed a sigh of relief. His lucky streak with women ends here. But before the words could fully leave her mouth, an elegant, intellectual woman wearing gold-rimmed glasses, who looked exactly like Laju, appeared in the projection. Not only did she refrain from killing him, but Fang Chen's silver tongue even convinced her to discuss a cross-realm alliance. A collective silence fell over the entire Wux in residence. The 5-star Giant King had sent him to die, yet he ended up negotiating a deal with a 4-crown Shura King. Was there really no one who could control this guy? To their slight relief, the 5-star Giant King spotted Fang Chen as he tried to escape. Venerable Evil Crow's sky, high blood pressure finally eased up a bit. Now he's bound to suffer a little, right? But what left him, all the venerables? And everyone except the Grand Libationer completely speechless was that the 5-star Giant King simply brought Fang Chen back to the Black Cloud stronghold. In fact, 5 Giant Kings and an Asura King stood there, personally seeing him off. Finally, Venerable Evil Crow snapped. He slammed his hand down, shattering the table. Are you kidding me? He snarled. From start to finish, Fang Chen hasn't suffered a single setback. All we've seen is him flirting with girls, taking all the credit, and playing the giant kings like a fiddle. In the end, they even politely escorted him back to the Black Cloud stronghold and sent him back to the Central Land Realm. Who wouldn't be furious? The Grand Libationer calmly replied, What? Are you upset that our man successfully brought back intelligence? I doubt even the giant kings themselves are as angry as you are. Venerable Evil Crow's heart skipped a beat as he realized he had let his personal grudge get the better of him. He quickly apologized. My apologies. I just have a personal issue with Fang Chen, nothing more. The Grand Libationer said meaningfully, I don't care what grudges you have with Fang Chen. However, I must remind you that he is currently responsible for the alliance with the Four, crowned Shura King, and bears the heavy duty of leading countless strongholds into our realm. Without him to move the sky-touching black pillar, everything will be for nothing. Therefore he paused, casting a glance at Venerable Mantra. I do not want anything happening to Fang Chen. Do I make myself clear? The Grand Libationer's intent was crystal clear. He was protecting Fang Chen, and no one was to touch him. Venerable Evil Crow was incredibly frustrated, but sensing the Grand Libationer's invisible pressure and considering the high status of the Directorate of Astronomy, he could only suppress his urge to kill Fang Chen. I will prioritize the bigger picture, he muttered. The Grand Libationer nodded slightly, then looked over at Venerable Mantra, waiting for her to state her stance. Venerable Mantra snorted coldly. I might not kill him, but I'll castrate him. The kind that never grows back. Sitting in her lap, Fang Chen suddenly clamped his legs shut. Venerable Mantra quickly looked down and patted him apologetically. Oh, don't worry, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about that bastard brother of yours. Fang Chen wanted to cry, saying that only makes me more terrified. Deputy Palace Master, you took a deep breath, sat down and downed a massive gulp of tea. Even just watching is nerve-wracking. I really don't know how that kid Fang Chen managed to survive such desperate situations, step by step. A Confucian venerable from Hunyuan province, radiating a dense noble spirit, deeply agreed. I believe even a soul transformation venerable would struggle to survive under the same circumstances. Several of those crises were simply too dangerous. Even a venerable would have found them fatal. A venerable from Shenbing province sighed with emotion. Taking Grand Province has produced an extraordinary talent. I am truly envious. The Grand Libationer's face was flushed with pride. This time, Taking Grand Province had stolen the spotlight. He believed Fang Chen's name would soon spread across the other 8 provinces. He boasted, everyone, was the intelligence from our Taking Grand Province of any use to you? Who would dare call it useless? Just 3 pieces of intelligence, the strongholds being protected by Heaven Realm laws, the blood pool converting the human race with 100% success rate, and the Saint crystals being reversible, are worth more than gold. So what if you gathered intelligence? The blood pool still exists. Once the war breaks out, with Taking Grand Province's current strength, you'll probably be the first to fall. This war will ultimately come down to a clash of raw power. Gathering intelligence only gives you a slight head start. The armored demon monarch looked displeased. Waniao province was the most powerful province after Tianju, but their scout mission into the Heaven Realm had been an utter disaster. The more brilliant Taking Grand Province's scouting appeared, the more it highlighted Waniao Province's failure. It was no wonder he felt bitter. Venerable Mantra frowned slightly. Demon Monarch Wanjun, isn't that uncalled for? Our Taking Grand Province shared this intelligence free of charge. We didn't expect a thank you, but there's no need for hostility. Demon Monarch Wanjun pulled out a black shelled beetle, inside of which numerous tiny insects could be seen wriggling. He glanced sideways at Venerable Mantra and said, Don't worry, my 1,000-insect cave doesn't take things for free. This is my heart, devouring black insect. If you throw it into a crowd of ancient giants, it will work wonders. Will that suffice? Seeing Demon Monarch Wanjun offer a gift, the others began taking out their prepared items as well. They weren't just here to share intelligence, but also to send their disciples to the Tiantian battlefield, so how could they arrive empty-handed? The Grand Libationer accepted them with a smile. Since most of this intelligence was secured by Fang Chen, I will set aside the majority of these for him. The rest will be distributed among his companions. The disciples from the other provinces watched with burning envy. Not a single gift brought by the venerables was ordinary. For instance, Demon Monarch Wanjun's heart, devouring black insects, would be far more effective in a battle against the ancient giants than a low, raid spirit artifact. A low-grade spirit artifact couldn't possibly kill 5 ancient giants at once, but this swarm of heart-devouring black insects could. They hadn't expected the Grand Libationer to be so generous as to give the lion's share to Fang Chen. Sitting on Venerable Mantra's lap, Fang Chen's eyes also lit up with joy, and he wished he could reveal his true identity right then and there. Demon Monarch Wanjun stood up. "All right, our 1,000-insect cave will take our leave. I hope you can perform just as impressively when the ancient giants invade." The other venerables wanted to say a few kind words for taking Grand Province. But comparing the terrifying might of the Black Sun Royal Court to the handful of venerables taking Grand Province had on the surface, they could only sigh inwardly. Demon Monarch Wanjun's words were harsh, but they were the brutal reality Grand Province was about to face. Over 1,000 ancient giants, a 5-star giant king, and 9 giant kings would descend upon taking Grand Province. They couldn't begin to fathom how taking Grand Province could possibly win. The Grand Libationer's smile faded as he silently gathered up everyone's gifts. Venerable Heart Demon leaned back in his chair with a massive headache, while even Venerable Mantra kept her eyes lowered, feeling the immense weight of the situation. The sheer strength of the Black Sun Royal Court truly defied expectations. How were they supposed to fight them? Fang Chen's eyes darted around. He had actually already figured out a way to eliminate their greatest threat, the Ancient Sinkhole, but doing it alone would be too difficult. Since he was currently at the Directorate of Astronomy and had the Grand Libationer and 3 venerables around to help, he could try to completely destroy it. "Grandpa, my big brother asked me to do one more thing," Fang Chen said in a sweet, childish voice. The guests from other provinces, who had been about to leave the Wuxin residence, stopped in their tracks. After everything Fang Chen had pulled off in the Heaven Realm, none of the venerables present dared to underestimate him. The Grand Libationer gave Fang Chen a half-smile and patted his head. "And what did your brother say?" Fang Chen said in a clear, childish voice, "My brother wants me to help him destroy the blood pool in the Ancient Sinkhole." The Grand Libationer froze, a look of sheer confusion flashing in his eyes. Even when Fang Chen was in the Heaven Realm, he couldn't do anything to that blood pool. Now that he was all the way in the Central Land Realm, what could he possibly do? Venerable Wanjun frowned. "Don't talk nonsense, kid. No matter how powerful your brother is, how could he destroy the blood pool from another realm? Crossing realms to strike is something even ordinary venerables can't do, let alone Fang Chen, who is only in the nascent soul realm." Venerable Mantra was also skeptical. "Xiao Lingli, did your brother really say that?" Fang Chen nodded eagerly. That's exactly what he said. He even taught me how to do it." Without even needing Fang Chen to show up in person, he was letting his 5-year-old brother handle it. How was that even possible? A mere child destroying the core of the ancient giant's territory, the Ancient Sinkhole, and doing it across realms, no less. The Grand Libationer stroked his beard, deep in thought. He couldn't wrap his head around why Fang Chen would make such a claim. After a brief silence, he asked, "What's the method?" Fang Chen shook his head. "I can't say it out loud. My brother said the 5-star giant king's origin source allows him to predict the future. If I say too much, it might trigger his foresight and let him stop us. My brother said we have to act right now without any delay. He hopes you grandpas, big sisters, and uncles can help me out." The Grand Libationer laughed. "Your brother certainly has some nerve, trying to order me and 3 venerables around. Fine, we'll follow your lead for now." Venerable Evil Crow instantly scoffed in disapproval. "Are you kidding me? A group of venerables taking orders from a 5-year-old child. With venerables from other provinces watching, aren't you afraid of becoming the laughingstock of the entire 9 provinces? Go if you want, but I'm not embarrassing myself like this." Fang Chen shot Venerable Evil Crow a sidelong glance. What was this guy's deal? He had 0 solutions to the crisis at hand, yet he was the first to object when someone else proposed one. Fang Chen could only hope this guy wouldn't drag everyone down when the war against the ancient giants broke out. "I'll go with you," Venerable Mantra said, scooping Fang Chen up. "It's just an extra trip anyway. If it works, we rid taking Grand Province of the sword hanging over our heads. If it fails, it's nothing more than a wasted trip." Venerable Heart Demon thought about it and agreed. "Very well. I don't have anything urgent to attend to anyway, so I might as well tag along." A spark of anticipation lit up the Grand Libationer's eyes. "All right, I shall take orders from you just this once. If we succeed, I'll reward your brother with a treasure. But if we fail, I'm spanking your bottom." Fang Chen breathed a sigh of relief. Having 3 deity transformation realm experts to help was more than enough. Missing that Venerable Evil Crow wouldn't make a bit of difference. "Okay." My brother says we need to head back to the sky-touching black pillar first. Now that the Grand Libationer had made up his mind, he didn't hesitate. Follow me. He led Venerable Mantra and Venerable Heart Demon to the teleportation formation of the Directorate of Astronomy. But just as he was about to activate it, Deputy Palace Master, you caught up with a laugh. I think I'll tag along and see for myself. With someone leading the way, the out-of-province venerables naturally grew curious. Since they still had 2 days before the Tiantian battlefield opened, they figured they might as well tag along with the venerables of taking Grand Province. They wanted to see what that kid Fang Chen was up to this time. In the end, everyone stepped onto the teleportation formation, leaving Venerable Evil Crow standing all by himself. Under everyone's gaze, he looked like a total outsider who couldn't care less about the threat of the ancient giants. Feeling incredibly awkward, he had no choice but to begrudgingly tag along. He scoffed inwardly. I'm only going to watch Fang Chen make a fool of himself. As the array activated, everyone vanished on the spot. When they materialized again, they were already inside the teleportation Grand Hall of the White Horse Temple. The sky-touching black pillar was closest to this location. The sudden arrival of so many venerables didn't seem to faze the Bodhisattva of the White Horse Temple. He was Bodhisattva heavenly hearing, and every word spoken back at the Directorate of Astronomy had already reached his ears. Though he hadn't personally set foot in the Directorate of Astronomy, he had been eavesdropping the entire time. The group left the White Horse Temple. Moving at the speed of venerables, they covered the distance to the sky-touching black pillar, which had taken Fang Chen an hour to traverse in mere moments. What's next? Staring up at the sky-touching black pillar, the Grand Libationer looked at him inquisitively. Fang Chen asked in his high, babyish voice, Seniors, who among you is the fastest? Venerable Mantra smiled gently. Your big sister here, of course. Among the venerables of taking Grand Province, I might not be the strongest, but I am definitely the fastest. Fang Chen's heart sank. Didn't that mean it would be even harder to escape her clutches in the future? He nodded and said, Then I need you to carry me to a certain place, big sister. We can't stop along the way, or the 5-star Giant King will beat us there. It should take about half a day. Seeing how Fang Chen spoke like a little adult despite his childish face, made Venerable Mantra adore him even more. She affectionately nuzzled her cheek against his. Forget half a day. I'd gladly carry you in my arms and fly for a whole day. Fang Chen sighed inwardly, resigning himself to the unexpected perks of playing the helpless child. Then please, big sister, tie the sky-touching black pillar to me, he said. Venerable Mantra blinked in surprise. Wait, can you move the sky-touching black pillar too, just like your jerk of a brother? I can, Fang Chen chimed, his voice bright and crisp. My brother told me it's our Fang family's unique bloodline. To prove it, he reached out a tiny hand toward the sky-touching black pillar. Startlingly, the massive object flinched away from his grasp. After seeing that, all doubts vanished from the crowd. Venerable Mantra stared in awe. Your Fang family's bloodline is seriously something else. She summoned a heavy chain and securely bound the sky-touching black pillar to Fang Chen's back. And now? She asked. Fang Chen pulled a pre-prepared golden alms bowl from his robes. Inside, a layer of golden liquid rippled softly. My brother said this belongs to his friend, Vajrafane. It holds a map of the heaven realm. His small fingers traced the water's surface, locking onto the marked coordinates for the ancient sinkhole. He pointed at the projection. We need to go here, big sister, hurry. Now that their plan was set, every second mattered. Venerable Mantra took the golden bowl, locked onto the coordinates, and tore through the sky. Her speed was genuinely mind-boggling. Faintly interwoven in her wake were undeniable traces of the wind origin essence. No wonder she boasted about being the fastest venerable in the taking Grand Province. The other venerables scrambled to keep up, trailing behind her like shooting stars. Meanwhile, in the heaven realm, over a dozen ancient giants stood guard near the Black Cloud stronghold. When they saw the sky-touching black pillar abruptly launch out of the stronghold, they erupted into furious roars. Their massive bodies vibrated as invisible pulses of vital blood force rippled into the void, transmitting an urgent warning in all directions. The Black Sun Royal Court. The 5-star Giant King loomed over 3 feral, mindless ancient giants. His eyes gleamed sharply. Have we still not pinpointed the origin of these 3 ancient giants? They were captured near the Ancient Sinkhole by the Gold Giant King and the Shadow Giant King, an underling reported. Judging by their vacant stares, they must have recently mutated into ancient giants. Their past memories have been wiped out, leaving them as mere beasts driven by the origin source. The giant king of fortune rubbed his chin in deep thought. The space giant king captured over a dozen of the human race not long ago. He said he was taking them to the blood pool in the Ancient Sinkhole to be mutated. Could these 3 be the result of that human race mutation? The stone giant king was stunned. 3 successful mutations out of just a dozen humans. We're lucky if we get even 1 successful mutation out of 10 from the Asura clan. Does the human race really have a far higher mutation rate than the other species? As the realization set in, the pupils of every giant king present violently constricted. If true, the Black Sun Royal Court wouldn't even have to lift a finger to completely obliterate the Taking Grand Province. All they needed to do was capture live prisoners to manufacture an endless army of new ancient giants. With their forces multiplying as their enemies dwindled, the Taking Grand Province wouldn't stand a chance. The 5 Star Giant King's massive eyes burned with naked excitement. Usually a stoic and imposing figure, even he couldn't hold back a sinister grin. This was an absolute game changer. Taking Grand Province, Central Land denizens, what a pity. The heavens are on our side. Just then, an urgent pulse of vital blood cut through the air. Bro popped a youth pill just to dodge castration. Fang Chen is literally sitting on the lap of Venerable Mantra, the woman swearing to end his bloodline, while she feeds him spirit fruits. Absolute cinema. These almighty experts watched a 4K compilation of him finessing giant kings and rizzing Asura queens, yet have zero clue the mastermind is the 5-year-old using them as an Uber to nuke the sinkhole. The giant kings think they hit the mutation jackpot, but their doom is getting piggybacked across realms. Let's argue when Mantra inevitably realizes she's been cuddling her worst enemy. Does her Tao of vengeance demand instant castration? Or is she too cooked by his weaponized cuteness to swing the blade?